Okay, so, oh geez, I was at a party yesterday, and actually Reverend Amanda and Derek were there, and Amanda and I were talking about how we come up with our talks. And, and a lot of people ask me, when do you write your talk? When do you know what you're going to be talking about? And that's not the way I was trained. I was trained by someone who, Dr. James Mellon from the Global Truth Center, Los Angeles, who basically is, have a theme, know what it is you want to say, but allow how it wants to be shared to happen in the moment. So have your 3 bullet points, maybe have some quotes that you might want to have there, but don't write your talk. Just let it flow out spontaneously. And sometimes it's very spontaneously because it's kind of coming together as I'm sitting here listening to Bob's music, looking at my notes going, what? But anyway, so Amanda and I were kind of, sharing, not commiserating, but whatever the positive word for that is, about how it's so exciting sometimes when someone says, oh, I can't wait to hear your talk. And I'm like, me too. Anyway, I'm so delighted that you guys are here today. Can we just give them a hand? Because Reverend Amanda has been here 3 times already, right, to fill in. And I am so delighted that we have this connection and that she is so willing and that Derek is willing to come on down and support her. So I'm delighted you guys are able to just hang out in the audience with the community this time. So thank you for being here today. Okay, so I'm going to start off with an excerpt from a Rumi poem called "We Can See the Truth in Your Eyes." Although you appear in earthly form, your essence is pure consciousness. You are the fearless guardian of divine light. So come, return to the root of your own soul. That entire poem is about coming back to yourself, about remembering who you are, that you are this incredible, amazing divine light, and it's a ruby that glimmers and shimmers and shines in this poem. And I just love this poem, and I love this reminder, this call to action to come home. Just like come home, remember who you are every moment of every day. Stop hiding. And that there's this thing, this essence, this knowingness, the truth of who and what we are, that's just waiting for that to happen. So in that book that I got this poem out of, it's Rumi Translations by Jonathan Starr. And I can't remember how this book came into my presence, but I absolutely love his translations and interpretations of Rumi's work. And I actually quoted some of his stuff in my book. So in the introduction, he says that the supreme vision of Sufism is to see God everywhere, to view every part of creation as a reflection of God's glory. And so even if the word God doesn't resonate with you, if it's still just put in what works for you, whether it is light, whether it is love, whether it is energy. The supreme vision of Sufism is to see love, energy, creativity, potentiality everywhere. To view every part of creation as a reflection of that glory. How lovely does that sound? It sounds lovely to me. But here's the thing. In order for that to be true, in order for that to land for us, we first need to be aware that God or love or spirit, whatever you want to call it, is all there is. Because if that's not what we're aware of, if that's not the story, that we tell, then maybe that's not going to make sense to us. Maybe it's something that is like, yeah, well, that's what you believe, but that's not what I believe. And I'm just going to point out here, as I do from time to time, just because I'm standing at the front of the room here talking about stuff, doesn't mean you have to believe the same stuff. Okay? One of the things that we're taught very early on in the Science of Mind stream is that we're not here to teach people what to think, we're here to teach people how to think. So that is to make up your own mind. That is to open your heart in ways that work for you and are in alignment with what is true for you. Back of all that, underneath of all that, at the very center of all that, we believe that there is one thing going on. And again, call it whatever you will, call it what works for you. We're not here to try to convince anyone of anything or to subscribe to anything, but that's the premise for where I'm coming from every time I'm standing here, okay? So just to make that clear. So with that, we need to be aware. We need to be aware of what is going on, because if we're not, then that may not make sense to us or may not jive with our worldview or the stories that we tell. So going back to, it was either Wednesday or Sunday when I was preparing for one of my talks, a note came up as I was typing it up. And as I was typing, the word illuminance got typed by my fingers. And it came out, and I thought, oh, that's a made-up word. And so I was just like, it all happened super fast. I was waiting for Word to just underline it and like, alert kind of thing, fix this word. But it didn't. And I'm like, whoa, it's an actual word. And so I looked it up and then realized, that's not the word that I want to use in this case, but I want to use it for something else because it's such a neat word. So what I found was on this website called thecontentauthority.com, it says, luminance and illuminance are both measurements of light, but they refer to different things. Luminance, which is what we talk about a lot, measures the amount of light that is emitted or reflected from a surface, while illuminance measures the amount of light that falls on a surface. In other words, luminance is about how bright something looks, while illuminance is about how much light is hitting it. And for me, I thought, whoa, there's something in there. There's something in there about awareness and knowing and realizing who and what we are so that we can further embody who and what we are. Because if we don't know, if we aren't aware, it doesn't matter like how much stuff is hitting us or how many messages are coming from within. If we don't realize that there is some kind of divine order in and at play, then we might not listen. We may think, oh, I don't understand that. And we may just completely miss the point. So the talk title that I chose for today, because neither luminance or illuminance would be possible without the cause of all of it, which is light, is the brilliance of divine light. And brilliance here has different meanings. And for me, I just thought, this is so cool of light. To be able to like do this, to exist first of all, like that's who and what we are, and then to sort of play these games of like, well, you got to be aware that you're light, otherwise you can't shine your light. You got to be aware of who you are so that you can shine your light on others. You got to be aware so that you can recognize the light in others and help them to be activated and shine theirs. And I'm like, light is so cool. Like it has this incredible, amazing divine plan that it's doing. It's this big kind of joyful game, which takes me sort of to Thomas Troward, who was one of the greatest influences on Ernest Holmes, who was the founder of religious science and wrote The Science of Mind. And Thomas Troward said that the whole point of life is to enjoy it, to be in joy. And that doesn't necessarily mean, life is all sunshine and rainbows all the time. It's to be aware. It's to actually be involved and actively participate in your life experience. To take it all in consciously, the sweet, the sour, everything in between. And so this is what I feel like is part of the brilliance of divine light, is that light exists. It wants us to remember that we are light. And the more we remember, the more we recognize it in others, and then the more we can activate it in others, thereby illuminating the entire consciousness, the collective consciousness that exists. Which brings us back to that opening song that we've been singing for the last few weeks. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the One. Right? Now, was anyone here just singing those words? Or were you feeling it in your body in some way? Or at least was it sort of stirring things up in your mind? Right? Like we're here not just to sort of sing, rah, 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 right? Like we're here to feel, we're here to evoke, we're here to embody, feel spirit in our body, experience the power that we all are in every single cell of our being. Every cell, every system, every organ, every molecule and atom, every interspace in between, alive and active with that incredible, amazing, divine enthusiasm that is always in and at play. The brilliance of divine light is alive and well and active in each and every one of us, every moment of every day. But it's up to us to remember that that's who we are. It's up to us to turn to the light, if you will, the light that is falling on us, and become aware of the illuminance of self, right? Now, the significance of this is that it speaks to oneness, how there's only one thing going on. Everyone and everything is this light. It also speaks to the intertwinglement, the divine intertwinglement and interconnectivity and activity of everyone and everything, because we are all interconnected. We are all reflections of each other. So the more we embody our light, the more that light can shine on others, illuminance, and the more maybe others can be illuminated to the light that they are, recognizing the luminance that is always in play. It's also about awareness, like I said before. First, we need to know. We need to be aware that this is what this is, that this is who and what we are, because if we're not, it might end up being challenging to kind of embrace and embody something that we aren't aware of or don't even understand. So how does this help in daily life? Well, it illustrates the power of choice, which is something that we talk about a lot in New Thought. Personal responsibility. We create our life experience, not some entity that is separate from us, no pulling of puppet strings, no one sitting on a cloud somewhere. If that is what someone chooses to believe and it works for them, great. That's not what we teach here. We teach that we create our reality according to how we use our mind, and that can be consciously or unconsciously, right? Aware, not aware, and then also how we open our hearts. Right? Because this is the third brain, like, 1, 2, 3. The brain, the gut, and the heart. There are these three incredible, amazing, interconnected minds and energy centers that work together. And some of us use our minds more, some of us are more feeling people, and then there's other ways that we can experience and create our life experience. But it really comes down to, are we aware? Are we making choices intentionally? Purposefully, meaningfully? Are we living life by design, or are we just kind of like going with the flow and living it by default? Ultimately, it's always up to us. It also speaks to how, because we are energetic beings, what we choose, what we feel, what we experience for ourselves impacts everyone and everything around us. And sometimes it's in a tiny, minuscule way, but sometimes it's in a big way. And so if we are that powerful, which we are, then it makes sense, and it is actually essential that we not only embrace and become more aware of who and what we are, but that we embody, that we act on that knowingness, that we really, really accept and move forward as this incredible, amazing, all-powerful, divine light that we are, so that each and every individual in our life, everyone in the entire world, can collectively light up, be lit up, and shine their brilliance out into the world. It's important. When we focus on peace, we're going to get more peace. When we focus on love, we're going to experience more love. If we focus on problem, challenge, life is hard, what are we going to get more of? Right? So taking us back to our affirmation, with every breath, I illuminate the wisdom, beauty, and harmony of my soul and the infinite possibilities of my life. If we turn to the light, which is who and what we are, so it's not like we physically have to ooh, there it is. If we turn within, tune in, and realign ourselves with that incredible brilliance that is the very beingness of our soul, that is the activation, that is the messaging, that is the loading and the coding of every single cell, that incredible, amazing divine blueprint, if we tune into that, then, like in that quote that we had in our meditation by Nelson Mandela, when you let your own light shine, you unconsciously give others the permission to do the same. When we tune into and shine our own light, oh my gosh, what a difference we can make in our community and in our world, right? And who here wouldn't be a part of that? Who here wouldn't want to be a part of that? And that's an assumption I'm making. That's a story I'm telling. Maybe you don't. I don't know. But I'm thinking that because we're sitting in this room, because we are talking about how we are all interconnected, how we are all reflections of each other, that we want what is best for ourselves, for each other, and for the world. So, my question to you is, what would the world look like, what would it feel like if we were more conscious of the illuminance of our light? You know, like we're shining our light on others, what happens to the others kind of thing? You know, if we are doing that more consciously, more intentionally, knowing how powerful we are, knowing how powerful whatever it is we're shining our light on is, up-leveling, more and more brilliance being experienced on all levels. So in the end, the divine light we are is always inspiring us to become more aware of our inherent brilliance. The more aware we become, the more we can intentionally embody our true nature, the more we can empower the brilliance of others. That's the brilliance of divine light, inspiring illuminance of self to empower the illuminance of others. Thank you, and so it is.